Welcome to UNCAGED, a show that celebrates thought leadership from today's top business leaders. The program provides a voice to amazing executives from around the globe who are shaping the world of business today and mapping the path to the commerce of tomorrow. Today, we're speaking to Yuval Shani. Hey, Yuval, how are you?
Fine, thank you. I'm great.
It's great to have you on the show, Yuval. Yuval is the VP of Technology and Innovation and the Manager of High-Tech Investments at the Shlomo Group. I'll let Yuval tell you more about what the Shlomo Group is up to because they're actually up to quite a bit. But before we get there, tell us a little bit about your background, Yuval, and your career to date.
Okay, so I'm 45 years old, married plus 4. In my background, I'm a software engineer in management industry. I'm in the industry for more than 20 years. Started in the role of programmer. After that, did a job of project manager, and then became in the management positions. I've been the CEO, VP Tech, and as of today, 2 roles, the VP Tech at Shlomo Group, and the manager of high-tech investments, the CVC that we have here in the group.
That's great. So, literally, I think people that seem to know technology and innovation best are the people that have gone through that cycle of kind of developer, manager of technology teams, which is always a joy. And then now, obviously, at your level, being a manager of a larger organization and then also an investor. But tell me more about what Shlomo is actually doing in terms of high-tech investing and maybe just a little bit of background on Shlomo in general.
Great. So Shlomo Group is one of the largest groups here in Israel. We have more than 20 or 25 companies in the group. We have 2 main groups that established the holding group. One is mobility, and the second, called AFCON, is Homeland Security, infrastructure, real estate, green energy, electrification, etc. The group started from the mobility area. Actually, it's a nice story that our owner was the first guy that had 1 car in the past and started rent it by foot. And from there, it became an empire here in Israel. Today, we own more than 80,000 cars in our fleet.
Wow.
We have also insurance company and all of the synergies of the known companies about mobility, rental, leasing, finance, shop, garages, importer of BYD, etc. Above all this activity, we started 5 years ago dealing with startups and high-tech investments. As we usually do, we started bottom up. We met an interesting early stage startup. We got curious and decided to invest. And from then, so on to the future, we started doing more and more investments. Now we are more than 5 years doing that, and we have more than 10 companies in our portfolio. We do all kind of stage investments, early ones and pre-post A. That's our common area. Most of the investment will be in the mobility, but it's not structured. We can do also tourism, and we even have 1 medical device.
Wow.
Our portfolio is really successful. 2 of the companies are already public. 9 of them are going forward really well. And we are very, very satisfied with it.
That's excellent. In the U.S., we're very aware of the corridor of startups that seem to start in the Tel Aviv area and then end up becoming quite large businesses in the U.S. And so I'm imagining you guys may experience some of that success as well. But As looking after the high tech investment area, what are the outside of mobility, or perhaps even connected with the topic of mobility? What are some of the broader trends that you're seeing that you're excited about?
We're very excited in the areas like the electrification.
Okay.
We're very excited about the autonomous vehicles, although we understand it will take a lot more time than what usually people think, but we are really believers in that. Everything that connected to mobility and is built as a SaaS service is something that we can be very enthusiastic about. We are also transforming our businesses to be B2C and SaaS businesses for services. And that will be the area we look for. We have very diverse portfolio. We have companies that manufacture electrical engines, and we have companies that are mobile software that do new creation for insurance businesses. We have a lot of them, and as most of the investors will say, we are truly about the team, the market, and the purpose. And if we see that it could do better to someone in the future, and we believe in the idea, we probably would be there.
That's great. I was talking to an individual a couple of weeks ago about the topic of autonomous vehicles and the issue of insurance in that space. And so it does seem to me to be an area where there will be a lot of innovation, a lot of new ideas as we work through a world where vehicles are autonomous, yet we are perhaps many vehicles won't be autonomous at the same time. And so I'm imagine I'm imagining that it will be more human error than machine error. My guess is, but there will most likely be need for insurance. So that will be an interesting one. And since you guys play in both of those spaces, I'm imagining that must be those must be topics that you guys discuss as well. So that's great. So the electric vehicle space, electric and mobility are key areas. But as you worked through the last couple of years during this pandemic, how did that reshape your business? I ask because in many other markets, we've seen a lot of the things like rental vehicles be challenged, and now being challenged because of really supply chain issues, right? That people just can't get new cars, and so just be curious to see some of the challenges that you guys have come across, and some of the areas that have offered opportunity.
It's truly challenging, as everybody else. The pandemic got us shocked, got us surprised.
Mhm.
So in the beginning, it was just doing the matching for the new way to work. As all of the high-tech industry in our investments area, it was not too hard because we don't need much to examine these startups and look for meetings. We can always use Zoom. It wasn't new for us. We always work digitality far away. We have a lot of this kind of talks. So the first phase was inconvenience, but we got through it. The second phase, we understood, as you mentioned, that we probably will have a future period of combining electrification cars with autonomous cars, with regular gasoline cars, with drivers. And we found out that this period of time will be most challenging because, as you said, the combination between softwares, the autonomy cars, and human drivers together on the road, it's something that we saw that the market really passed it through and went through the autonomous and through the OEMs, and less put his efforts on these new challenges. And we think it will take a lot of time for the autonomous. We probably will be also part of the experiment in the autonomous car in the central in Tel Aviv area. Could be next year or most late the year after it.
Mm-hmm.
But we truly see now companies that challenging the combination of humans and autonomous vehicles. The infrastructure should change, the regulation should change, all the insurance market will probably change.
Mm-hmm.
And this now it's a new opportunity for new companies to come with new IPs and ideas and start new amazing startups that we see here. As you also know, Israel is truly, I think, the best place, and I'm not objective, but will be the best place for new IP and innovation and startups. I see tens of startups every week, most of them very interesting, great teams. And we truly enjoy what we do here.
So it's a really interesting point, Yuval, because it's absolutely true. I mean, I think it's been Israel's been referred to as startup nation and things like that many times. And the track record and the trajectory of Israeli-based technologies is phenomenal. Why is that? What is the secret sauce there?
In my opinion, I think that Israelis from nature and from the reality that they're born into are very speedsters, let's say. Everything is happening here very fast.
Mm-hmm.
Now my children are seeing the Flash, if you know, on TV,
Mm-hmm.
the speedsters. So I stuck with this word, but every Israeli that's born here did his graduated, went to the army and went out, used to very high speed acceleration of everything. And I think that this is one of the main points that startup should have. Also, we usually like to think out of the box, and you can take it from the good side or the less side, but Israelis has their nature.
Yeah.
And probably if you visit here in Israel and will stand in any kind of line or queue, so it won't look like in the US that everybody are standing on the way and waiting. You see many Israelis entrepreneurs that finding new way to cross the queue.
Right.
This is the kind of thinking that you need in order to bring a new idea and start forwarding first and smart and try to succeed.
That's a great point. I've always marveled at some of the amazing technologies that have come out of Israel over the last couple of years. So, going back to the question about the pandemic, did you find that the Shlomo Group was working differently during the last year and a half? Have you been working from home, or has it just been business as usual?
No, we changed the way of work. We started working from home. We had a short period that we only worked from home when we had the shelter. But as of today, we can say that we took the approach of hybrid working. So some of us working from home, some of us working a day a week from home, others more. But we can surely say that the pandemic opened our mind more for working from home. We didn't do it before. And we can say that the pandemic also got our businesses to be much more intense and higher acceleration because everything shifted up.
Mm.
By the way,
I think that's actually a really good point. I mean, I certainly experienced that with my business activities as well. Many companies embraced that change and accelerated forward for sure.
I can tell you that one very nice example of the pandemic is that we established a new firm, a new company for self-service rental company from the mobile. That's something that before we thought about and didn't decide if it's the right time and if the audience is mature enough for that, and the pandemic just brought us there. And as of today, we bootstrap developed and established a startup that now is a firm that doing a mobile self-service rental car sharing that is now spread in Israel in more than 60 city halls in the cities and got many users and very common service now. So the pandemic took us to a place that if someone want to rent a car and usually came to the branch and talked to the employee and sign the papers and whatsoever, today just download this app to the mobile, see the map,
That's great.
doing click, and everything is self-service. No human is inside. Automatically, we developed the tech. We use telematics. We developed the mobile app, and we really have our own bootstrap startups that now is working.
That's great. What's the brand called?
Shlomo 6 Chair.
Perfect. I love that. I think that that's probably one of the sectors that continues to need more and more innovation and investment. And that idea is spectacular. I think that can be very, very valuable going forward. So, I think that we've discussed a little bit about your thoughts on the near future. It seems to me that you guys are very focused on some of those elements, such as electric vehicles, mobility, the logistics and telematic elements of that area. But as you think about the next 18 months or 2 years, what are your hopes for your company in terms of investments and some of the plans that you have on the technology side?
So we came to the point that we want now to do another step forward, getting more mature and establishing a standalone VC here in Israel. We want to be a very professional, focused mobility VC.
Mm-hmm.
We already started the process and talks, and I believe that in the upcoming 6 months, we probably will establish to start work as a VC. We also got very mature and positive connections with other firms, where one of them is in the US, Fraser Macomb Capital, that also a non-mobility VC there. And we cooperate with the Holman Group in the US. Of course, we have our partners in Europe 6 that we are working together for many years. And we want to combine all of that together to a very strong mobility VC that has partners in US, in Europe, in Israel, and by that bringing the effort, the
Yeah,
best.
And you said that you guys focus on that kind of area after Series A, basically, kind of a growth equity phase, essentially.
We're in the area of pre and post A. In today terms,
okay.
The rounds name are changing. Now the market is blowing, and you can see different A types of amounts of money, but we are usually there with the companies that has almost the first client, and we can feel the product and we can see the potential for the scalability. It will be the common area for us.
Yeah. I love that, and I would imagine that with some of the companies that you have in your group, there's a great opportunity to utilize some of those new innovations and bring them into the more scaled businesses in your group. So that synergy must be great. Offer those businesses some level of scalability themselves.
Yeah, one of our major advantage for the startups is that we can be a study case for a lot of different approaches of new startups. We have a huge fleet. We have an insurance company. We have an infrastructure company. We are the biggest electrification vendor here in Israel. We're an importer. We do almost everything in the mobility area.
Mm-hmm.
you combine this with the partner I just mentioned in the US and Europe, we can really open doors for new startups and using our substrate here to accomplish their first goals before going public and doing this escalation.
Well, I think that certainly that the mobility space, the logistics space are going to be filled with more and more innovation. And I was recently talking to an individual about the trucking industry in the US and how that's going through more and more change as we rethink how vehicles move around and how they're linked together through various forms of technology for tracking purposes. It's quite an amazing moment, full of challenges as well, but I guess that's probably the beauty of it all, right? So
It's not,
Yuval, thank you so much for being on Uncaged today. If somebody wanted to connect with you, where should they find you?
so I'm always available on my email here on my mobile. So I will
Excellent.
love to get any approach or questions or just so it's always interesting.
Excellent. Well, listen, thank you so much for being on Uncaged today. We've been speaking with Yuval Shani. Yuval is the VP of Technology and Innovation. He also manages the high-tech investments at the Shlomo Group. The Shlomo Group is an organization that owns and operates some of the largest companies in Israel, engaged in transport, insurance, finance, infrastructure, construction, shipping, logistics, and real estate, and probably more things that I'm missing out there. But it's great to talk to you, Yuval, and we look forward to learning more about what you guys are working on in the future. Cheers.
Thank you very much.